Mongo's data model that we're going to use to implement a couple of use cases to interact with the database. Right? So we're going to do that in a folder we're going to call DAOs, which stands for Data Access Objects. It's a very common design pattern that we're going to encapsulate all the different database operations. We're going to encapsulate it in dedicated classes or files, right, that specialize on a particular data model. So we're going to create here a users DAO, right? And in here we're going to use that model, right? We're going to load that model that we just created, the user model, and we're going to go up one, then down to one, and then user model. There it is. Once we have that model, we can implement things such as find all users. And find all users would be easily implemented using user model. And then the finder operations that are available through this API. So find. This looks very, very similar to what you would write at the console, right, when you're interacting with Mongo DB. Right? So these operations are very similar to that API that you would type at the console. These functions return are returning a promise, and that promise is being returned by this function. So this function is returning that promise. Once we have this DAO, we can export all the functions that are implemented here. There will be quite a few. You could have also const create user that takes as argument a user, right? You have maybe delete user that takes maybe a user ID, and then you would implement that here as well. So all the use cases would be implemented here, right? And we would then export them, right, so that you can use them outside of this function. The way we're going to export them is through providing a map to all these functions so that other folks can call them from outside. Oops. Create user, delete user. Right, so it's going to be exported so that it can be used from outside here.